Hi boys and girls, welcome to another edition of Veranda Tales. Are you all ready to hear a story today?
Yes!
Okay, the title of the story for today is The Woman Who Fooled the Fairies. And it was written by Impey and it is illustrated by Schon. Okay, well, let us start and let us see what the story will be about. It says, there was once a woman who baked the best cakes in the whole world. Can you imagine that? This world is big, right? So can you imagine this lady that bakes the best cake in the whole world? Would you like to eat one of her cakes?
Yes!
I definitely would want. It says her scones were scrumptious. Her tarts were terrific. Her biscuits were brilliant. But her cakes, oh, her cakes took your breath away. People came from miles around to buy them. Now, would you go miles and miles just to go and buy cake from someone?
Yes!
I guess you would if they are delicious as they say, right?
Yes.
So can you see the different types of delicious cakes that she does here?
Yes, Mom.
The fairies, they love the old woman's cakes, but they didn't want to buy them. They hoped she would leave a cake out to cool by the window, but the woman was far too wise for that. So what did they want?
The cake by the window.
This cake here, they wanted this window to be open so that they can eat it free of cost without paying. But was the old lady going to do that?
No, Mom.
No, she didn't do that. So the old lady was no fool. One warm summer's night, the woman was walking home through the woods. Yes, the woods, yes. Would you walk there in the night?
No, Mom.
Definitely not. Then she felt a flurry of fairy wings around her face. And it says, soon she felt too tired to take another step. She just had to lie down and close her eyes. So she got sleepy and tired, and she...
I think the fairies must put a spell on her,
Maybe.
When they flap their wings, see, they have a there.
potion.
I guess, you know what, you're smart. I guess that's true. They put some little dust or something from their wings.
Maybe something in her earring. In her earring?
But why do you think they would want her to fall asleep?
So they can go and steal the cake. So they can go and steal the
So they
cake
can
and
go and
eat
steal
it.
the cake. Let us see. It says, when she opened her eyes, she was at the little fairy's palace. Yes. The old woman told them, what do you want with me? What do you want with me? What do you think they want?
Her cake.
Bake us a cake. They demanded. No, no, bake us a cake. No, we won't take you home till you do. No, what would you do if you were that lady?
Tell them no. I would say, I'm not going to do your work.
Let us see what this lady decided to do. She said, show me the kitchen. So I think she will bake it. So the fairies, they led her there. The woman looked around. She's looking in their kitchen, see?
It was so.
What do you see about this kitchen?
Everything is tiny.
Where is the flour? You think the fairies have flour?
No, Mom.
The fairies looked puzzled. They had no flour. I have plenty of flour, said the lady, in my cottage. The fairies flew straight to the woman's cottage. In no time, they were back with a huge bag of flour. How many fairies do you think had to back that bag of flour? Now you will make us a cake, they told the woman, because they already brought the flour, right? I will, said the woman. But where is the sugar? The fairies looked surprised. They had no sugar. And butter, the woman said. I have both in my kitchen. So what are they going to do now, the fairies?
Fly to the cottage.
They're going to fly to the cottage. And they're going to get the sugar and the butter. The fairies flew so fast, they almost met themselves, right? One was going for the sugar and the other one is going for the butter. And you know they're flying fast. They meet each other on the road. Now, will you make us a cake? They told the woman even louder this time. Why do you think they're speaking louder now?
Because they really want that cake.
They're mad.
They have to go back and forth for something.
Very good, as you said. They're angry because they are going back and forth for the ingredients for that cake. Now, the lady said, I will. But I need, what do you think she needs now?
Eggs.
I need eggs. There's a dozen in my pantry, said the woman told them. Now, before you ask me, what's a pantry?
A pantry is like somewhere you put food, you store food. Well, no, you put like grains, like eggs or different things.
Yeah, groceries, different groceries. It's what we called here sometimes as a cupboard, right? In less than a minute, the fairies were back, juggling the eggs in the air. Look at them. Now, will you make us a cake? Said the fairies, angry. I will, said the woman, when I have a big enough bowl. It took the 10 fairies to go and bring the bowl, but eventually they brought it. So now all the things are there, so they started to make the cake. The lady put in the flour with the eggs and everything. When it was mixing, what do you think you need to bake a cake? We bake it in a baking tin, but we here in Belize, we see our baking pan, right?
Yes.
To bake. So, what do you think the fairies had to do now? They had to go flying and go and get a baking tin. And now that the mixture is in the baking tin, it is ready to go in the oven.
But
Now,
a bowl can fit in that little oven.
my tin is far too big to fit in your tiny oven. The fairies looked as if they might burst into tears. They were like,
No. Get an oven.
of course, said the woman, I have a nice big oven at home. Before she had finished speaking, she found herself being carried through the air. See how they're taking the lady? Yes, they must be very strong fairies. The fairies were tired of the woman by now. They tossed her between them like a pancake. So just threw her there.
Like a pizza dough.
But she landed safely in her own kitchen. where she stood grinning at them. Then the fairies knew they had been tricked. They looked so sad. Look at them. They look sad. The woman almost felt sorry for them. She said she would still bake their cake. But the fairies were too tired to care. So they were so tired they didn't even care if they had their cake anymore. They just wanted to sleep, rest, you know, when you're tired. The next morning, when the cake was cool, the woman took it to the fairies' palace. She left the cake where she knew they would find it. It seemed a shame to wake them up when they had had such a busy night.
The story was about a lady that has been tricked, but in the end she felt sorry for the fairies not getting their cake, but she also got tricked too, so she made the cake for them.
I learned that you must not trick nobody.
Yes. First of all, if you want something, ask for it or pay for it. Don't force anybody to do it. But I learned from the old woman that you don't have to hold malice in your heart. You know what's malice, right? Like bad things in your heart and hatred. She forgave them for what they did and she still gave them their cake. So sometimes even though people do bad to us, we can still repay with good things, right? We don't have to do bad at them also. Okay, so how many of you want to hear another story? Me! You enjoyed this one?
Yes!
So we will hear another story right after the break, okay?
Yes,
Welcome back to Veranda Tales. Are you ready for a second story?
Yes!
The title of this story is The Naughty Leprechaun. And it was written by Gervais Finn. And it was illustrated by Sholto Walker. In the dark, wet, slippery rocks near the great castle of Ornamore, there lived a leprechaun called Schon. Schon was not an ordinary leprechaun. In fact, he was very, very different from all the other fairy folk who lived thereabouts. They were all jolly, green little elves who sang and danced and laughed and played their fiddles up until the early hours. But Schon was different. Schon was round and fat and very bad-tempered. He had sharp, twisted teeth like sticks of barley sugar and big flat feet like the oars of a boat. And Schon wasn't green like all the other leprechauns. He was purple.
Purple?
As shiny and purple as a black currant. He was also very, very naughty. Now, leprechauns, as you know, are sometimes mischievous, but none was as naughty as Schon. He was horrid. One summer morning, when the sea gleamed golden and soft, the wind blew across Galway Bay. Scene sat in his dark, wet, slimy cave and watched 4 swans swim with their mother swan. As they passed Shon's cave, the naughty purple leprechaun hurled a pebble the size of a hen's egg into the water. there was a great splash when the stone landed in the water near the swans, which flapped their wings widely, but frightened and screeched. "You wicked leprechaun," hissed the mother swan, throwing a pebble in the water and frightening my cygnets. "You could have hit one." She's angry, see? The mother is angry. "It wasn't me," lied the naughty leprechaun. "Oh, yes it was. I saw you myself. Why do you do such naughty things?" "It's nothing to do with me," Schon said, and he smiled a wicked smile. Gathering her cygnets round her, the mother swan swam off angrily. "You stupid old swan," Schon shouted after her. "I hope you get swept out to the sea." Then he went back into his dark cave. Now, what really mischievous things can I get up to today?" thought Schon. He scratched his fat purple chin. "I know," he said. "I'll go up to the high rocks and steal some seagulls' eggs." Schon thought it would be very funny to watch the angry seagulls screeching and screaming and circling overhead as he searched for their eggs. So the naughty leprechaun set off on his mischievous journey to the high rocks beyond the castle. On his way along the rocky path, Schon came upon a rabbit hole. He stopped, and that wicked smile again spread across his face. Look at him. Look at that wicked smile. Quickly, he began to stuff pebbles and shells and seaweed and sand into the hole until it was filled right up. Look at the stuffing things in there. Look at how it looks full. "You wicked leprechaun," came an angry voice from behind him. It was a big furry rabbit with brown eyes. "Blocking my burrow so I can't get in?" "It wasn't me," lied the naughty leprechaun. "Oh yes, it was," said the rabbit. "I saw you myself. Why do you do such naughty things?" "It's nothing to do with me," said Schon as he smiled wickedly. Imagine him. And skipped off down the rocky path. A little farther on, the naughty leprechaun came across a little mound of hazelnuts. Schon picked up the nuts one by one and threw them into the sea. Flip, flop, flip, flop. They went until they were all gone. "You wicked leprechaun!" shouted a gray squirrel with tufty ears from a nearby tree, "throwing all my nuts into the sea." Think the leprechaun will say it's him? "It wasn't me," lied the naughty leprechaun. "Oh yes, it was," said the squirrel. "I saw you myself. It took me 2 hours to collect these nuts. Why do you do such naughty things?" "It's nothing to do with me," said Schon as he smiled wickedly and skipped off down the rocky path. A little farther on, the naughty leprechaun came upon a little white cottage with a thatched roof. It was there that old Miss Mullerty lived. On her washing line were the cleanest clothes Schon had ever seen. They were blowing and billowing in the wind. The naughty leprechaun smiled wickedly again. Then again clambered over the little white fence and marched across Miss Mullerky's garden, crushing all her lovely flowers as he went. The washing line was tied between two big apple trees. Schon climbed up one of the trees and pulled down the line. The clean washing tumbled down onto the dirty grass. Hee hee, chuckled Schon. Then he spied a bucket of milk. It was full to the brim. You're all imagining what he will do now, right? He climbed down the apple tree and tipped the lovely creamy milk all over the pot. "You wicked leprechaun!" came a voice from behind him. It was old Miss Mullerky coming up the pot. She was carrying 6 brown speckled eggs in a bowl. "Pulling down my washing and spilling my milk?" "It wasn't me," lied the naughty leprechaun. "Oh, yes it was," said Miss Mullerky. "I saw you myself. It took me all morning to wash those clothes and milk the cow. Why do you do such naughty things?" "It's nothing to do with me," said Schon as he smiled wickedly and skipped off down the rocky path. It was now getting quite late, and Schon was very hungry. He decided not to go to the high rocks looking for seagull's egg, but set off instead across Farmer O'Faltry's field. He knew where the farmer kept his cheese, and he licked his purple lips at the thought of a nice creamy chunk. So he wanted to go and eat the farmer's cheese. He skipped along, chuckling and singing to himself and thinking about all the mischievous things he had done, when his foot suddenly disappeared into the ground. Yes, very good. He had stepped into a bug hole. Look at it here. A bug hole. Do you know what it is, right? Yes. And it says it was a deep, slimy, smelly, squelchy bug hole, and try as he might, Schon could not get his foot out. He twisted and turned and tugged and heaved, but the more he moved, what do you think happened?
He sank.
The more he sank. "Help!" cried the naughty leprechaun. "Help! I'm stuck!" He shouted again, and his face turned a deeper shade of purple. Then he saw something move out of the corner of his eye. Who do you think it was?
Old man Jacob.
It was the white swan slowly swinging across the bay with her 3 cygnets. "Help!" cried Schon. "Help! I'm stuck!" Do you think they will help him?
No, they'll laugh at him.
This mother swan turned her neck. "Whatever's the matter?" she asked. "I'm stuck in a bug hole," shouted the naughty leprechaun. "And I'm not here for the fun of it. No, get me out." What do you think she said?
No.
It's nothing to do with me, said the swan and swam on. She went. Schon twisted and turned angrily and sank a little deeper into the bog. Then he saw something brown out of the corner of his eye.
He saw the rabbit.
Very good. It was the brown rabbit who just managed to clear her hole and had popped out to see what all this noise was about. Whatever's the matter? She asked. I'm stuck in a bog hole, shouted the naughty leprechaun, and I'm not here for the fun of it. Now get me out. It's nothing to do with me, said the rabbit, and her head disappeared down the barrow. She twisted and turned angrily. Think his face is getting more purple, right? And he sank a little deeper into the bog. Then he saw something gray out of the corner of his eye. It was the gray squirrel collecting more nuts for a big tree. Help! Cried Schon. Help! I'm stuck! The squirrel looked at the leprechaun. Whatever's the matter? He asked. I'm stuck in a bog hole, shouted the naughty leprechaun. And I am not here for the fun of it. Now get me out. It's nothing to do with me, said the squirrel and carried on collecting nuts. Now who will come by, you think?
Jacob. No, the old man, Miss.
Right now we will see. Schon twisted and turned angrily and sank a little deeper into the bog. He was now up to his chest in the deep, slimy, smelly bog. Big tears rolled down his shiny, purple cheeks. Nobody will help me, he whimpered. I'll sink in the bog without a trace. Then he saw something red out of the corner of his eye. It was old Miss Mullarky in her new red shawl coming down the rocky path. Help! Cried Schon. Please help me, I'm stuck. Miss Mullarky stopped. Oh, it's you, is it? That naughty purple leprechaun, the one who crushed my flowers and dirtied my washing and spilt my milk. Yes, whimpered Schon, and I'm stuck in a bog hole and I'm sinking. Please get me out. You think she will help him come out? Well, if I do, I want you to promise never to get up to your mischievous ways again. Do you think Schon will promise?
No.
I promise, said Schon. I hope so. Very well, said Miss Mullarky. It just so happens I have my broken washing line in my basket. I was taking it around to Farmer O'Farty's to be mended. Tie it around your waist and I'll pull you out. Schon tied the line round him and old Miss Mullarky heaved and hauled and tugged and pulled, but the leprechaun didn't move. Can somebody help me? Shouted old Miss Mullarky. You think somebody will help her?
Yes, Mom.
Let us see. The rabbit hurried from her hole. The squirrel scurried over from the tree and swam, and the swan flew from the bay to help. They heaved and hauled and pulled and tugged, and soon Schon was out of the bob. The swan and the rabbit and the squirrel and old Miss Mullerkey all smiled. Why do you think they were smiling?
Because he got what he deserved.
He got what he deserved. Schon looked very funny, all slimy and muddy and dripping wet. I hope you've learned your lesson, said Miss Mullerkey. I have, said Schon, and from then on, he was the most helpful and happy leprechaun on the Moor coast. So, what you learned about the story? That is important.
To be good and not you'll get whatever you deserve.
Be good or not to get whatever you deserve. Very good.
Be kind so people can help you when you need help.
Okay. So we can learn a similar thing than the other story, right? Even though people do bad to us, we can still do good to them. And even if we do naughty things, we can still change our ways, right?
Yes, Mom.
Thank you very much, boys and girls. A round of applause for all of you. All of you did a wonderful job. We will be seeing you again on another episode of Veranda Tales.
Today's stories were all about being kind to others, even when they're not kind to you. This is an important lesson for children's social and emotional development. It helps them to grow up to be compassionate and forgiving people. Here are 2 helpful tips for moms and dads. Teach perspective. We tend to only see our side of an issue. We need to teach our children to be able to see things from the other side. Our side is only part of the story. Seeing the other side helps us understand why people do what they do. Forgiving is much easier when we know the whole story and not just half of it. Teach the golden rule. Treat others as we wish to be treated ourselves. Ask your children how they would want someone to respond when they did something wrong. They would want to be forgiven. Then tell them to do likewise.